Welcome back to the Weigh-In Podcast, where we discuss all things boxing. Joining me today, I have Steve the Rocky Roach from Thailand.
What up? What up?
What's happening, brother? You good?
Yeah, good, brother. Yeah, man, living the dream. It's all good here. I'm suffering from that. You know, you guys in the UK have to stay up till like 5 a.m. to watch US boxing. I now have to do that to watch Dilian Whyte the night before. So if I sound a little bit lackluster today, that's because I'm a trooper and I stayed up till like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning watching Dilian Whyte. But my boy got the job done, so I'm feeling good. I'm feeling energized. I got 30 minutes left in me. Let's get this show on the road.
We've all been there in terms of like time difference and whatnot. And for us in the UK, obviously we had a change in our clocks as well. So that's kind of thrown me. Nigel, who's here today on the show, Big Nige from Whyte Vs Fly YouTube channel. How's it going, Nigel?
I'm blessed, my brother. I'm good. How are we doing, folks? How are we doing?
Big Nige back on the show, brother. How you doing?
Yeah, we're all good, man. We're breathing a huge sigh of relief. Following the win for Dillian Whyte last night in Gibraltar. Yeah, massive, huge weight off his shoulders. Those big, broad shoulders from the body snatcher. As he got the job done against.
Bro, that was intense, man. It was intense. Even though he was dominating, he was doing his thing. Yeah, like he had a good round one. He's backing him up. Was you not like every time Povetkin threw even the slappiest of little hook, you were like, he's gonna get knocked out. No, he's gonna get knocked. He's done.
Absolutely.
I was screaming. I was like, bro, slow down. Keep that distance. Keep the distance and move your feet. Because do not get sucked in on the inside because he's lethal on the inside.
Unreal. All week I'm like, he can't be gun shy. He's got to let his shots go. When the fight started, I was like, box, run, box.
Classic, mate. I've got a Fitbit. I've got a Fitbit on right here. You're gonna see my. Oh my word! I'm not even fighting, and I was like, oh god.
It's mad.
It was stressful.
Nah, man. He got the job done. He's back in the winning column, shall we say? Following that shot defeat back in Matchroom HQ, Eddie Hearn's back garden.
Classic Dillian though, like wicked fight, innit? Like, do you know what I mean? That's why he'll always be sellable because, like, you're never bored. Like you say, if the Fitbit's on, the Fitbit's going off the chain when Dillian fights.
You want to see that? You want to see that? Wow, mate.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? So like Dillian, it will always be pay-per-view, man.
Yeah, I agree.
So Nigel, let's kick things off with you. Yeah, Dillian Whyte. You know, he always kind of talks about maximum violence. We here was a bit nervous and a bit cautious. How is Dillian Whyte going to approach that fight? But he produced. Was that a career best win for you?
100%. You always say you're only as good as your last fight, and for me, that was his career best performance. He got his revenge, and not only did he get his revenge, but he done it in spectacular fashion. He showed discipline. He showed good. Everyone's known that he's had a good jab, but this time now we saw it with good footwork. He looked trim. He looked in tip-top condition. There was a bit of scare, like, because obviously it was a 20-week camp. Had he peaked too early or was he going to be too fatigued? He looked good to me. He's saying in an interview that he was even better a few weeks back. So it was worrying to see what he would have been back then, but he got the win and I'm happy, man, because I'm a big fan of Dillian Whyte, man. He brings character, charisma to the division. And like you said, he's a sellable fighter, man. People always tune in to watch him fight. So yeah, I'm happy for him.
Absolutely. I like what you said there. You know, he's very dedicated. You know, he's spent the best part of a year over in Portugal. He's had, you know, a few setbacks. You know, first of all, he had a defeat. I think this fight's been postponed or at least rescheduled two or three times. I think the last date scheduled it was meant to be May the 6th. So even those 2 to 3 weeks can affect the fighter's approach in terms of, you know, how to deload, how to kind of, you know, wind down following a rigorous training camp. And Steve, you know, I think we shared it in our group chat this morning. It turns out Dillian Whyte was actually carrying an injury.
Yeah, no, he fought with like a hamstring. I don't know if it was a tear or a pull, but he had that bandaged up. Like, and there's a video on IFL, where it shows him like decompressing it after the fight, and he is in agony as he's taking it off. He is in absolute agony, just it's tender to touch, and you can see him limping. Like if you see him in the ring, go back and watch the fight. At certain points, when he limps at certain points when he puts weight on the leg. So he had like a banged up hamstring injury, and he still went into the fight. And he goes, "Look, there's no way." He goes, yesterday was or whenever Friday, I think it was. He said it was agony. He said like I couldn't, but he goes, they bandaged it up. They did what they needed to do. He goes, "There's no way I'm pulling out this fight. It's getting done." And that's the kind of guy Dillian Whyte is. Like, he's an animal.
What a warrior. Warrior.
Absolutely. You said that he's a true warrior. I guess these are the kind of things where, had you lost last night, it wasn't even mentioned this. I think it was actually actually Hugan who mentioned it. That's the kind of guy he is, where he'll take knocks, he'll get beaten down, but he gets back up. True warrior there.
Also, what he didn't announce as well is like he's had a kid in the time that he's been in camp, and he's never met the kid. He had the kid at Christmas.
What?
Yeah. He's not, but he couldn't come back to the UK because obviously of restrictions, and he was training in Portugal. And the missus couldn't get to him. So also he's got a kid that he hasn't seen. His whole team, missed Christmas with their loved ones and stuff just to train him. A lot went into this. Do you know what I mean? And like, so it was a real story there, man. To push through all he got to push through there.
Absolutely, that's huge dedication there. I think it's a 4-month-old child that he hasn't seen. Nigel and I are both fathers. I can't even go 4 hours like Mr. My little one.
Bro, I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, 4 months he hasn't seen him. He hasn't even held him, bro.
No, he's never met. He said after the fight, he's like, I've never met the kid. He's like, he's never met me. But so he's a different breed, man. Like different breed. And I'm just glad he got it. Like, imagine doing all that. He said it himself. He was like, to do all that and then not get that W would have been tough, man. Especially he said like for the team and that, because there's a lot of sacrifices made. And I think in boxing, like people don't realize the sacrifices that go into this. So when you see someone get chinned, it's like, yeah, that's one performance, etc. But that's like everything goes into this, man. Like at that world title level, everything goes into one fight, and then to lose it is gutting. And so I'm glad he got that W back, man.
100.
Steve, let me ask you, what impressed you most about that fight? I guess everyone talks about those knockout highlight reels, but for me, it was the jab.
Yeah, his jab was nice. He boxed clever. What got me though was the fact that he came out strong early, which is so like. Do you remember I was saying last week? I was saying if he comes out and fights scared, if he tries to box on the back foot, it's going to be curtains. But he imposed himself from minute one, and he took it out of Povetkin. Yeah, and he thought, look, he's old, he's had COVID. That's the thing about Dilian Whyte. His gamesmanship and his understanding of the fight game, what he needs to do. You can't coach that. Do you know what I mean? He just instinctively felt, I need to put it on Povetkin and let him know from minute one, this ain't a joke. I'm coming for maximum violence, like he says. And then when I think that kind of broke Povetkin's heart a little bit. He didn't give Povetkin any foothold into the fight, and then he just took everything away from him. And then from there, it was just a sinking ship for Povetkin. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with that. You could tell that Povetkin was quite thrown off. There was loads of times when I thought like Povetkin was losing his balance. I thought the pressure was so much.
Yeah.
Like Dilian Whyte was imposing the center of the ring, imposing his size, imposing his jab. It kind of threw him off because obviously he's slightly the smaller man, even though he put on more weight for this fight, but still felt inferior in terms of size. Yeah. And I kept on saying, why does he keep looking off balance? But when I look back at it now, it's because from round one, minute one, he imposed his size, he imposed the pressure, and he was aggressive from the get-go.
That's exactly it. And he took everything away, and Povetkin knew that he couldn't take risks. I'm hearing a lot about like, Povetkin this, Povetkin that. You don't become a bad fighter in 6 months. Like let's have it right. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. This geezer just sparked that Dillian 6 months ago. So you're not gonna lose all that. He's a gold medalist. Yeah, he's a bit old. Yeah, he's a bit past it. But they just fought 6 months ago, and he chinned Dillian, and he could have chinned him again last night, and everyone would be like, oh, like blah blah blah. What are you gonna say? It was a good fight, good top level contenders, and Dillian, let's have it right, dealt with a top level contender in 4 rounds last night, and just bashed him up and stopped him. Yeah, that's quicker than what AJ did it, and he's never been stopped other than that. So let's have it right. Dillian's back to where he needs to be. He messed up last time, but he put it right. He's a top contender.
That's a good point there. I think in Povetkin's previous 39 fights, only lost to Anthony Joshua and of course Vladimir Klitschko.
Yeah, so that's great company to be amongst with Dilian Whyte. I can't even lie. When they said that on Sky yesterday, and I was thinking about it, I was like, to be amongst the likes of Klitschko and obviously Joshua, who's champ now, ain't a bad thing. Obviously, he got his revenge and he done it in spectacular fashion. So onwards and upwards for Dillian.
Because there's levels to the heavyweight contenders or the heavyweight scene. There's levels. Yeah, you've got Fury, you've got Joshua. Then I think you've got Dillian Whyte. Yeah, people were trying to say that Dillian Whyte was like is a Huey Fury or a Hunter.
Nah,
but let's be real, because Povetkin fought both those guys. He beat one, he had a draw with the other one. Dillian dealt with, and he had a little blip. But now you can see where Dillian is on the landscape. He dealt with Povetkin quicker than Joshua did. He's in that top tier. He's not with those other pack. Yeah, he's with Deontay Wilder, Fury, Joshua, Dillian. Let's have it right.
Guys, how much credit goes towards Dillian Whyte camp there? For those who don't know, Dillian Whyte is coached or trained by Xavier Miller. But for this fight, Whyte brought in the experienced Harold the Shadow Knight, who's known for his expertise and was really influential in terms of guiding Lennox Lewis from his setbacks. So guys, I mean, how important was it for Whyte to have someone with that experience and that caliber, that big fight experience, to help him get over the line?
Like I said, I think that Dillian, it's obviously always important to have a good corner and a good coaching corner. But for some fighters, that's more important than other fighters. Yeah, Dillian Whyte is a natural fighter, and he will do things instinctively. He doesn't box correct. Yeah, if you walk into a gym, they'll never teach you to box like Dillian Whyte. He's what we call an instinctive fighter. He fights on instinct. Yeah, he throws hooks when he feels like he needs to. He rolls when he feels like he needs to. He's not working on that on pads. He's just feeling the fight. If he feels like he needs to pressure the other guy, he'll pressure. If he feels like he needs to box, it's in him. Do you know what I mean? As a fighter, whereas like AJ is more of an athlete who learnt to box. He needs a really good corner. Dillian Whyte is a fighter who fights. Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean? But obviously, an experienced corner is always good. But Dillian Whyte is a particular breed of fighter.
And for you, Nigel, how important was it to have that experience in the camp? I guess credit to Miller as well, Xavier Miller, to also accept that maybe his tactics were, I won't say limited, but he just needed someone else again, an extra pair of eyes to kind of help the team to get that all important win.
Yeah, I completely feel it was very, very key. He's obviously come from a back Lennox Lewis and Emmanuel Stewart. Everyone knows with Emmanuel Stewart in that Kronk gym, the jab is key. They're aggressive. We saw Tyson Fury with Emmanuel Stewart's nephew, how he changed up Tyson Fury's style and made him a lot more aggressive for the rematch against Wilder. So we saw similar traits in that, where Dillian Whyte normally will take time to ease his way into round 1, 2, and then land his mark. From the get-go, he implemented aggressiveness, and we saw that. And we've always known he's had a good jab, but it's one thing having a good jab, but you need to know how to utilize it on offense as well as a defense. And we saw that in both ways, when going forward and going backwards. So, like I said, man, Dillian, I've always said this. This is a bit of a curveball, yeah, but I feel in my head, this is how I see it. AJ beats Fury, and then Dillian Whyte will beat AJ. It's mad, but trust me, I see it, bro. It's messed up, but I see it.
Big Nige, it goes London bias, then South London bias. Is that what it does?
Yeah. Because he deserves. He has to. He will be champ.
Getting more local to where you're from.
Yeah. But in the rematch, AJ beats him. So basically, what Andy Ruiz done, where he became champ. Yeah. But then he lost the rematch.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah,
I see what you mean. And
that'd be an insane turn of events. Just thinking about with that coaching thing as well, I think there's more of a culture coming into boxing of that kind of second pair of eyes. Sort of Rob McCracken is the sort of technical director almost of Anthony Joshua, but someone else does the pads and someone else, so then he can watch it. And I think Anthony Yard was talking about this, Tunde Ajayi playing a similar role. Yeah, that Tunde Ajayi has a set of skills, but maybe just being the kind of main sort of the kind of coach there day in, but maybe the sort of the technical director, how he wants to fight, the visionary of how he wants the fighter to fight, but then someone else like a head coach to deliver on the vision. I think it's an interesting idea that's coming into boxing, and why not? It makes perfect sense. You have that in football, and brought into football. It doesn't make sense that it would be one guy leads, is your everything. Do you know what I mean? Other sports have something for everything, and I think you'll see that coming to boxing now as well.
They've got that in MMA, don't they? They have a striking coach, they have a defense coach. So, not one coach is not going to be good in all areas. Exactly, so it's good to have one that's good in a certain area to tighten up that boxer's offense and then defense, and like it just brings the whole jigsaw puzzle to make them a stronger opponent. So you can't go wrong with it, man. Long may it continue.
That's a very good point, and that's to kind of repeat what you said, Nigel, a few minutes ago in terms of bringing someone in like Mr. Knight, where he has that crunk gym style, and I think there are definitely similarities in the way Tyson and Fury approached that rematch against Deontay Wilder, where they were very aggressive from the first round. And I think it's key when you've got someone who's got a very good jab, but can also then be very aggressive from the first couple of rounds to impose the opponent. So no, it's a fantastic win for Dilian Whyte. And I guess the big question now, I guess, if you look at the FAQs in the Whyte inbox, it will be what next? Who next? let me ask you guys there, Steve, who next? Where does he go? Because I mean, you look at the very top of the division, of course, AJ and Fury are locked in these negotiations, potentially a 2-fight deal. So where does he go for the rest of this calendar year?
I think he's in a tough position, man. You're right. Where does he go? Like, do you know what I mean? They're locked in. Deontay Wilder won't fight him. That fight is hard to negotiate. In an ideal world, Deontay Wilder, what a fight. But can that fight get negotiated? Like, you've seen with Tyson, these top level fights are really hard to make. So then he's got to look back, and then you're thinking, Joe Joyce, like, good fight, tough fight. Does he really want to go there and like take on? We would love to see it. We'd love to see all these fights. Dillian Whyte, Joe Joyce, why not? But I don't know who is there that will give him the money that he wants, has the prestige that he wants, and is a makeable fight right now. I can't really think of anyone.
I would say, obviously, I know everyone wants to see him against Wilder, but like Steven said, the likelihood of that happening, the Wilder's team, just the whole management, they just seem a lot more difficult to handle. But the only thing I might say why it may happen is, obviously, if Dillian Whyte becomes mandatory, Wilder now sees an opportunity to get his way back into the fold. And if he fights Whyte and takes that mandatory position, then he's obviously in pole position to face Fury or Joshua. So that may happen. But me, honestly, I want to see him versus Andy Ruiz, man. I think that will be one hell of a fight.
That's a good fight.
I think in terms of, like you said, Joshua Fury, they're locked in the top two of the division. So you now have to figure out who's next. You got Wilder, who's just coming from the back of a loss. You got Andy Ruiz, who's now got Eddie Reynoso. If Whyte goes and fight Andy Ruiz and beats him with Eddie Reynoso under the tutelage of Andy Ruiz, boy, that is a massive win. And no one can't say he's not ready. No one can't say he ain't ready for a world title. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think the Joe Joyce fight will be a bit too much of a risk and not enough reward.
I agree. I thought the British thing might draw it in. What about Usyk?
Yeah. Again, I think the fact that Usyk is that performance against Chisora makes me think Dillian Whyte will be able to use his size, again, aggressiveness. And Chisora wasn't able to implement that on Usyk, and Dillian Whyte will definitely do that. But again, it'll be a good victory. Like
Usyk, I think, is a big enough name that he could, he's drawing enough numbers. Like, what are they saying? They're saying that, like, if you combine the pots of Joe Joyce's last 3 fights and Usyk's last 3 fights, it would be 7% Joe Joyce and 93% Usyk. So he's making good money and he's doing good numbers. So it's a fight there. But I do agree. I think Usyk or Ruiz would be 2 good fights for Whyte right now.
Yeah.
Sounds all good. So for you guys for listening, let us know who you think Dillian Whyte should fight next. And make sure you share, like, and subscribe the video. You can also find this episode on other audio platforms, including SoundCloud. So let us know who you think Deontay Wilder should fight next, and also if you think Wilder should be taking on Dillian Whyte. So big up to the Brixton boy, the body snatcher, Dillian Whyte. Guys, let's talk about the whole fight experience in Gibraltar, because I don't know about you guys, but I was really, really impressed by the whole setup, the attention to detail, the planning.
Have you booked 2 weeks all inclusive to Gibraltar for when things open up again?
It looks like a decent spot to go. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll be real with you. It's actually on the bucket. It's on the bucket list, actually. It's on the bucket list, man.
Then he has that Norfolk Gibraltar bloody tourism than anyone else. No, look good, man. Look good.
No, definitely look good.
Do you know what? You got to give it to Eddie Hearn. Only Eddie Hearn will be able to pull out an event like this and say Gibraltar and make sure it pulls off to be a success. Like, who would have expected the rematch to be in Gibraltar?
At what notice as well? Like 3 weeks notice, something dumb like that. It's like mad. He's like, yeah.
Only Eddie Hearn. You got to give it to him, man. He does his thing, man.
He is sick. And then like Frank Warren can't get out of Stratford, bro.
Literally. And he had 502 people in there, but it sounded like there was a lot more people.
Yeah, they smashed it, man.
Lovely atmosphere.
They didn't have like £2. They say Dilian Whyte's face. I don't know if that was Dilian Whyte's face. It didn't look much like it.
Yeah.
But they had a £2 going.
No, that's amazing. So good stuff to Matchroom as well, man, in terms of their detail and bringing this event together.
Yeah, it was hard, man. It was sick.
We here in the UK at home certainly enjoy that, and I'm sure you, Steve, in Thailand definitely enjoy the action. Let's talk about the undercard very briefly. Today's more of a bite-sized show. There's been a lot of boxing over the course of the weekend. Obviously, BT had a double header, so we'll discuss that in further detail at another time. But let's talk about. Yeah, I'm worn out, man. I'm absolutely fatigued. Let's touch on the undercard very briefly. Let's kick things off with Fabio Wardley. He knocked out Eric Molina in the 5th round, stepping up in class there. Steve, were you impressed with Fabio?
I saw similarities between Molina and Tom Daly there in that fight, man. It was, he's really worked on his diving, you know what I mean? Come on, man. That was suspect as anything, man. You see that fight? He got Wardley in trouble, and then suddenly, like, mate, the legs went up in the air. It looked like something else. Like, nah, I thought that was dodgy, man. But Wardley comes again. We'll just draw a line under that fight because I'm a big fan of Wardley. I think he's a really good fighter, but he didn't look great last night. I thought he was doing his best bloody Paulie Malignaggi impression, which I don't think he should box like that. Do you know what I mean? Like arms around, like just a bad night at the office for Wardley, and it's a shame because there was a lot of buzz around him. Rightly so, he's knocking everyone out. But last night was not a good performance, and the less said about it, the better. I think for Wardley.
Ted Cheeseman knocking out James Metcalf in the closing seconds of the 11th round to regain the British super welterweight title. That was a good fight, actually.
Yeah, that was a scrap.
Scrap, Big Nige.
Yeah. I love Cheeseman, man. I like him, man. He's just down for a scrap. Every single time he's always got a bloody nose. He never comes out
nose,
everything. You know when you go, certain man go into a fight and you just think, did you just have a fight like it was just clean offense? But him is always a scrap. That's what he always guarantees. He's always going to give you a fight.
It's like a shock, like you see like David Hay or like Fabio Wardley, and it's like, oh, you're a boxer, really? Like Ted Cheeseman. That was he did.
That's what I'm saying. Just at first glance, you know he's a fighter. But good win for him, man. Good win for him. He deserves it. Obviously, that loss to Sergio Garcia was difficult. He's come back now. He's got 2 wins on the spin. And JJ Metcalf was undefeated, so it's a win-win, onwards and upwards. I want to see him against Anthony Fowler, me personally. That would be a good scrap. And they're saying Josh Kelly might move up to that division as well. So that could be in Tyson as well. So onwards and upwards for Cheeseman, man. I like him.
Unfortunately for you, Nigel, your boy Chris Kongo suffered his first defeat against Michael McKinson on the undercard. That was a unanimous points decision. Let me read out the scorecard. That was at 97, 93, 96, 94, and 95, 94.
Yeah, man. The only thing I can say is when I was watching that fight is I think they always say never underestimate a fighter, but I think they underestimated him. They for me, he was an unknown entity. I didn't know what to expect. I just thought he's going to get the victory. His record did not replicate how he fought in the ring. He's a southpaw, very awkward, and he was aggressive.
You know what? His nickname's
very aggressive.
He's a fucking problem, man. He's a good
fighter. From the first round as well.
From the aggressive, dropped him.
But what it is, I think they looked at his like knockout ratio, where he had 2 knockouts in like 15 fights, something. Yeah? And like, but what you didn't realize, he's put each of his last 3 opponents down in the first round and gone on to win. So he's obviously buzzing people up. Same
Maybe
pattern,
that's his game plan.
He starts fast. He's a good counter puncher. But the thing is, like with those two, like they're both sick fighters. So there's no problems with losing to someone like that. Do you know what I mean? Like Kongo will learn. I hate this thing in boxing where it's like, oh, you're done. You had your shot like on a big card, and that was you done. I hope that doesn't happen to Kongo. He's a wicked fighter, and McKinson is a wicked fighter, and they both just like had their crossroads. It's all good though.
He'll come back, man. He'll come back. He'll come back stronger.
He'll come back stronger. And quickly, Campbell Hatton making his debut. I know Steve's a massive fan of his father, Ricky Hatton.
Yeah.
Campbell, were you impressed?
Long way to go, bro. Long way to go. Do you know what I mean? He's only 20. Hasn't had like any amateur experience. Needs to learn a bit more. He's got quick hands. He looks tough, but needs to work on his engine and needs to learn the game. Do you know what I mean? Needs to learn to pace a fight. Long way to go, but it will be fun because his dad was a legend and it's exciting.
We promised that we'll keep it very short. That nice bite-sized episode. Like I say, a lot of boxing taking place in the last couple of days. BT had their double header, and Sky Sports, of course, had their massive show in Gibraltar. So that's all we've got time for on the way. My thanks to Steve the Rocky Roach and a dope black dad, Big Nigel, right now holding his little one, multitasking. So we'll let you do your daily duties. I'm sure you've got
love. Thanks for having me, guys, man.
Cheers for coming on, Big Nige. Always a pleasure, brother.
That's all good.
You know, we always got time for you, man.
Cheers.
So you're listening to the Weigh In Podcast.
Peace.